Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Thank you again for your patience. Our guest today, David Pritchard, is running a little late. We're hoping to get him in ASAP, but I didn't want to keep everybody waiting much longer. Welcome. Today is May 9th, 2024. This is Master Advisor episode number 90. Like I mentioned, we have David Pritchard back for today's episode. He was last with us in December of last year, and we're really excited to have him back. Today, we're going to be talking about managing your well-being as a travel advisor. I have some announcements to make first, and then we do have a sponsor for today's episode who I want to introduce. So, going to go ahead and get started. We're hoping David will be with us pretty shortly. So, we'll keep an eye out for that. First thing I want to say is, I know I say this every couple of weeks when we do these episodes. Speaker view is going to be the best way to watch today's episode. And then the chat on the bottom right will be open as we go along today. I'm very much hoping to incorporate as much of the chat as we can. So if you want to open it up, please don't be shy in there. Drop some questions and comments as we go along, and we'll do our best to incorporate them into the episode. I want to thank everyone else for coming a couple weeks ago to the episode with Jennifer Eldelson. We talked about wowing your client. That was really a lot of fun. It was a lot of land-based discussion. So if you do a lot of FITs in Europe, there's a lot of great stuff in there that you can sort of check out. If you want to watch it, if you didn't catch it, if you want to rewatch it, it's on our YouTube. We're going to drop the link to the YouTube in the chat right now. Again, I know it's something I mention every time on these, but if you want to head over there, you can check out our videos. If you're not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe to that channel. It really helps us continue to grow this community. It helps us reach more travel advisors and bring you these every couple of weeks as well. For people who want to look ahead, our next episode will be on May 23rd. We're really excited for that one. That's going to be on finding polar expedition clients. We know that's something that's trending pretty highly right now. So you can go ahead and register. I see that Tom has dropped the link to that registration in the chat. If you have time, you want to go over there, you want to get a head start, it's there. I do want to remind everyone, you can go ahead and send me questions in advance. I know we do a lot of different topics here, and I know a lot of questions come into the chat live. But if you have any questions in advance, if you think of a good topic that you want us to cover, you can always shoot me an email. I'm at dmccarthy@travelmarketreport.com. You can shoot me an email. Any suggestions, any comments are more than welcome. We love to sort of cater these to you, to travel sellers. So we love to hear from you, and we promise we'll take everything into account. All right. So with all that out of the way, I know we have David on the call with us now. I'm really excited to introduce him. But first, I want to introduce our sponsor for today's episode, which is Apple Leisure Group Vacations. I'm really happy to have Nick Sawatsky, who's a BDM from Chicagoland and Central Illinois, with us, who's going to talk to us a little bit before we go ahead and welcome David.
Awesome. Hello, everybody, and thanks for the kind introduction there, Dan. At ALGV, we believe that only together we move people. We know we can't do it alone, and it's because of the partnership and relationship we have with advisors like you that we can do what we do. One day is definitely not enough to celebrate and recognize not only what advisors do for us, but also for the travel in general, as well as everybody that it touches, which is why we have a year-long campaign supporting how travel advisors get you there. During this campaign, we've introduced Carson Kressley as our travel advisor champion. Carson is helping to spread the word about all the benefits of booking through a travel advisor. Don't miss our next Facebook Live event with Jackie Marks and Carson to hear ALGV's newest updates on Thursday, May 16th. We've also expanded our education and marketing tools through ALGV Pro and ALGV 360. These platforms help advisors stay up to speed on how to utilize VAX and provide marketing materials to help grow their business. Additionally, our business development team is making sure advisors are aware of exclusive offers and benefits and are standing by to answer any questions regarding the ALGV brands that you might have. If you're not sure who your business development manager is, please visit www.algvacations.com/BDM. All of this comes from our core value of care and foundation of kindness, infusing that into the travel industry. We are celebrating and expressing appreciation for our partnership during Travel Advisor Appreciation Month with amazing giveaways across the globe, Pro on-the-go travel kits, professional and personal well-being subscriptions, and a lot more. How can advisors participate in the giveaways? Well, first, you must be ALGV Pro certified in order to be eligible. Advisors can receive up to 3 entries per booking. 1 entry is given for every booking made between May 1st and May 31st. An additional entry is given if that booking includes an ENVF or exclusive nonstop vacation flight. And 1 additional entry is also given if it includes TPP, our Travel Protection Plus. We're also holding a special drawing if an advisor creates a group's custom event page during the month of May. They'll be entered in to win a $500 Visa gift card. For more information on these giveaways, you can visit algvacations.com/TAAM. So once again, thank you for all that you advisors do. We truly appreciate our partnership with you. And now I'll hand it back over to Dan.
Thank you, Nick. And like Nick mentioned, I know ALGV did a lot for Child Advisor Appreciation Month. I got to see that billboard, the Times Square billboard with Carson last week when I was in the area. So it was really kind of cool to see that, to see marketing push towards using child advisors in Times Square was kind of really cool to see. So shout out to that. Yeah, I see David's with us now. I'm really excited to introduce David. Just sort of an FYI before we move ahead. I know our plan for today is this is going to be a hands-on sort of self-reflective episode. I really love doing these. We've done some more traditional travel Master Advisor episodes in the past few weeks, and this one might not be as traditional as our sort of previous ones, but hopefully it'll be just as impactful. I'm really excited to get started, but first I do want to welcome David. David, I know you were with us about 6 months ago, but I want to thank you for your time today, and we're really excited to get started.
Great. Thank you very much, Daniel. I really appreciate it. And it's so great to be back, back with my fellow travel advisors. I was running a little bit late because I was part of a board meeting, I'm so excited to work for a company like the Hyatt, who puts so much emphasis on care, right? And ALGV, talking with, Ray Snisky and Jackie Marks all the time. And we continuously lead with care, and it's our purpose. And so I was running late because we got into the subject of well-being and how important it is to be part of our values. And it just really excited me because as I'm coming into this session with all of you today, 6 months ago, I went back and looked at my notes, Daniel, and it was all about like tips, right? Daily tips to live better, right? We talked about drinking more water. We talked about moving a little bit more, about stretching. And those things are great, right? And it's important as a coach that we continue to talk to you about that, because I bet some of you forget and you don't do that. But I think as we were thinking about how do we really bring around the value of self-care, and I keep thinking about accountability, right? Part of being a coach is to educate you, to inspire you, but it's also to hold you accountable. And if I know anything about travel advisors, you guys don't do a great job of that because you're working, right? You put yourself last on the list. And so as I met with Daniel earlier and we started to think about what are some next steps, it's almost mid-year, right? It's a great opportunity for all of us just to reflect and look ourselves in the mirror and say, how's this year going? Now, right, I hope business is going well. And from what I heard, it sounds like it is. There's a lot of exciting things going on in the travel industry right now. So I hope it is. But it's also a great opportunity to kind of check in on your health and your well-being, and just to ask yourself, hey, maybe it's not going well. Maybe I'm struggling to be consistent. Maybe I fell off my New Year's resolutions, right? But the great thing about it is we have that opportunity to begin again, to pick ourselves up. That's what resiliency is, right? Now, I don't have to talk about resiliency to this group, right? What you've been through in the last, 4 years, right? And if you look at the definition of resiliency, it's to overcome. It's to learn from your mistakes. It's to pick yourself back up, right? It's to bend, not break. So what we want to do with today's session is really help you create a plan, help you start thinking about what do you need to do to be successful. Because all of you here have a business plan. You just don't put your hands over your eyes and say, okay, all right, bookings are going to come. My bank account's going to grow. I'm not going to do anything. No, you do it. You have a plan. You have a to-do list. Yeah, I bet you have a 30, 60, 90, maybe a year, maybe 2, maybe 5 for some of you, right? I can only get by with a year at a time. I'm sorry. I'm one of those people. But let's make a plan for your health and well-being so that we can sit here at the end of the year and we do another one of these check-ins and you can all say, you know what? I did these things for my well-being this year, right? And it's because I had to finally sit down and take it serious and provide structure, create a strategy. So that's what we're going to do today. All right. We're going to come up and we put together a wellness plan for you. So before we begin the wellness plan, there's 3 things that I want to set the table with. All right. Number 1 is self-awareness. Okay. 1, self-awareness. One of the most important things in your well-being toolbox. What is self-awareness? It's ability to look at your life and say things are going well or things are going bad, right? It's the greatest tool in your toolbox because it allows you to say enough is enough. It's your standards, right? It's your ability to say, I'm in pain every day for the last 2 months. I need to do something about it. Hopefully you do something about it before 2 months. It's your ability to say, I don't feel great. I'm tired. I'm not my best mentally. Okay. How long's that been going on? I'm having conversations with people and they're telling me a year. I'm checking in with travel advisors at conferences and they're telling me, yeah, it's been about 1.5 or 2 years since I saw my doctor. Self-awareness is making those appointments, getting your physicals, getting your checkups. Before we can make a plan, these things have to be intact. It's your ability to look in the mirror and say, oh, things aren't great, but I'm going to do something about it. Self-awareness is saying I'm vulnerable. I'm going to talk to somebody. I'm going to connect to somebody. I'm going to call my doctor. I'm going to call a friend, right? I'm not feeling my best. The greatest thing that's happened through COVID is the light on mental health, right? We didn't talk about mental health very much pre-COVID. We really didn't. It was the elephant in the room. Let's be honest. I work for an incredible company that takes it serious, but at the same time, we really was one of those things where we kind of navigated around it. Now we talk about it like we talk about the weather because why? It's important. Number 2, your core values. And we're going to talk about core values on the wellness planner today because there's going to be a part that I'm going to need you to do some homework. Your core value, I love our company's core values, right? And core values are what they guide you. They're your compass, right? They allow you to say, this is what I believe in. These are my standards. Okay. There's the line in the sand, right? What I used to put up with, I don't put up with anymore. For you to take your well-being serious, you have to connect to something greater than you, your purpose, your why. Okay. Now I've shared my why. If you've heard me talk at conferences, I talk about my why a lot. Okay. And my family, my relationships, my community, yes, in my work. But I want to be healthy and stay healthy because it matters to those things. All right. And third, and this is really, really a powerful thing to remember because this is probably one of the fastest ways to get results. Okay. I'm going to give you my secret here. Embrace your reality. What does that mean? Do what you can when you can. Some of the greatest results that I have gotten at our company are people who said, I'm going to walk 5 minutes a day. That's all I have time for, David. I'm overwhelmed. I'm stressed. That's all I can do. Is that okay? Yes. 5 minutes turns into 10. 10 turns into 15. I have some people say that's all I'm going to do is start drinking more water. Great. That's their reality. For some of you, your reality is like, I can go to the gym for 2 hours a day. I'm jealous of you, by the way. But some of you is like, this is all I can do. My greatest success story around embrace your reality is one of our colleagues at our call center 10 years ago. I loved her. She's amazing. She doesn't work for us anymore. She's retired. But when I came to her with this gigantic wellness program. I was like, you're going to work out an hour and a half a day. Here's your diet. Here's all these things. She looked at me and she's like, you are crazy. I'm a single mom. I work 50 hours a week. I don't have time for this stuff. She's like, you don't get me. You don't understand. And I should have, because I come from a single mom. And I said, okay, well, help me. Tell me about your life. And she tells me, I got like 15 minutes before all hell breaks loose in the morning. And you want me to work out an hour and a half? I said, okay, here's 5 minutes of stretches and some movement you can do in the morning. I'll tell you what, with your diet, she ate horribly, by the way. I said, how about we eat less horribly? We take her portions and we brought them down. So I embraced her reality. She embraced her reality. Guess what happened? She lost weight. She started feeling better. It took a year and a half, 2 years. But so what? Small little things over time equal great results. Your business, you didn't grow overnight. Some of you might be new travel advisors. Some of you might be travel advisors that have been in the business for a long time. You know, your business doesn't grow overnight. Either does your health and wellness. Either does your health and wellness. So 3 things. Remember, self-awareness, check in. Number 2, your core values. Because when things go wrong, when things go bad, and when you're challenged, you got to grab onto something. And 3rd is embrace your reality. Those are your 3 things that are going to be your foundational pillars for your wellness plan. Okay. So let's talk about this wellness plan. Do you want to pull it up, Daniel?
Yeah, we're going to pull it up. We're going to have Tom, our producer, pull it up.
Okay, great. And feel free, Dan. I know I kind of went on a nice little opening rant, but feel free to ask questions.
I just have a couple. I have a couple questions, David, before we get into the wellness plan. I know you've been doing this for a long time. I think you have more than 2 decades of experience, and you worked with travel advisors for a long time. I know we want to talk about sort of the plan today, but I'm just curious. My editors are out in the field constantly, and I had one of my editors this morning mention that a lot of advisors are talking about burnout more than ever. And I'm curious, is that something you're hearing from the advisors you speak to? Does burnout seem to be like a common topic of conversation now when you do have these client meetings?
Yeah, burnout is huge. The word balance, right? You say the word balance, people roll their eyes, especially in the travel advisor community, they might want to say, you have no idea. You want me to have more balance. And I would say, I go back to the core value piece, and I'm not trying to diminish this, because I am a work in progress. I'm somebody who's a test subject on this. I'm a multitasker. I don't say no very often. And I probably take on things that are outside of my unique ability, and it causes me, a lot of stress and sometimes burnout. Okay. So I would say to anybody who's feeling this way is go back to that self-awareness. What work am I doing? What shouldn't I be doing? What can I offload? What can I say no to? The most beautiful, word in the English dictionary is no. Sometimes you have to say it, and I bet a lot of you don't. Create those boundaries. Someone had a comment in here about their doctor. Sometimes you have to really push your doctor. And I appreciated that comment. Be your own advocate. You have to be your advocate, not only for your health and wellness, but for your schedule and your time. If you looked at my schedule, you'd see somebody who values their family, their well-being, because I set boundaries. That doesn't mean I don't open my computer at 10 o'clock at night when everyone's asleep. I do. And that's okay. That's all right. I call it work-life harmony. I don't believe in work-life balance. Work-life balance celebrates me being a multitasker. Work-life balance celebrates me doing 4 or 5 things at once. Well, you know what that does? I don't do it very well. You know what work-life harmony does is it allows you to say, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it really well because it matters to me. And then everything else is secondary right now. And that means, and I'll tell you right now, and I know we have time to talk about this, but my 10-year-old daughter at the time, she was 10, this was 4 years ago. She was my greatest teacher on this. And I was sitting at the dinner table with her, like we would do every single night, and we would talk about her day. And this was obviously during the pandemic, so things were even heightened even then. And she was telling me about her day, and we'd have this conversation. But underneath the table, we had a lot going on at the company, right? A lot of stress, trying to take care of a lot of people who were struggling. I was doing emails under the table and replying. You know what my 10-year-old daughter says to me? She goes, "Daddy, what did I just say to you 2 minutes into the conversation?" I could not repeat one single word back to her. So here's what I do now to give me this piece is I go to her, "Gabriella, I love you, honey, but I'm in the middle of a meeting. I'm in the middle of an email, and I want to have this conversation with you, but I can't right now." Guess what she does? Okay. She walks away. And guess what I do 30 or 2 hours later? I come to her all in. Work-life harmony is a fascinating new science that's out there. Harvard is studying it. Countless medical programs are studying this new way of working, new way of living. If you're a parent and you're at your son or daughter's musical, you are at your son and daughter's musical. And guess what happens when you go home and you got to get back to work? You get back to work. So I know it was a long answer, Daniel, but I can send you some stuff on work-life harmony that we can send out to everyone, because I'm really, as a well-being coach, I'm really concerned about that. I'm really concerned about burnout and balance, because it's affecting a lot of people's mental health and well-being. And it has to come from you, though. You have, and I know some of you might say, "Well, I don't have the luxury to say no," or "I don't have the luxury to." I bet you do. I bet if we really dug deep into your schedule and calendar, we can find time for you. I bet and I don't want to get into your relationships, but I come from a very big family. And if I said yes to everything in my family, I would be busy every single day. And I just set priorities, and I set boundaries, and I say no to things that don't contribute to my vision for my bigger and better life. Period.
Yeah, so we'll get that out, David. And just, I know we have the sheet up now. We'll get this sheet out to everyone who attended today's session once we wrap up today. But I just have one more, and then we can dive into the sheet. I took notes, David, on your three accountability plans, and it's the first step. Self-awareness seems like such a brutal step to be able to have to take. Like, I remember when I was taking creative writing classes in college and things like that, you had to edit yourself, or you had to be your own critic, and that was just such a difficult step to take, to willingly criticize yourself. And I imagine this is a difficult step for travel advisors to take too, to become self-aware, to set those standards. Like, is that something a lot of people struggle with? And if they are struggling with it, do you have any tips apart from just kind of facing that honesty head on?
Yeah, I mean, listen, and I don't want to point back to 4 years ago, right? But it taught us a lot, right? A lot of things were exposed, lights were turned on really bright, from financial to business to health. And we don't want to have that again, for that to happen, right? But and sometimes you have to rip the Band-Aid out. I mean, I work with thousands and thousands of colleagues across the globe, from many different cultures and many different backgrounds. So I get to learn and understand the importance of and the value of that self-awareness piece. Some of them have it, some of them don't. But I could tell you, it's that check-in. It's hard. Well-being is hard. Getting healthy is hard. Anyone who tells you it's not, just trying to sell you something. I'm not trying to sell you something. I'm trying to get you to have a life that is filled with abundance and energy and happiness and joy. And it doesn't happen like overnight. And having those tough conversations first and foremost with yourself, that enough is enough. I don't want to always say you got to hit rock bottom, right? Because I don't want you to have to hit rock bottom for you to have that self-awareness. I want you just to feel out like, you know what? There's more to this, isn't there? There's more to, I want energy. I want to be able to travel and feel my best. I had a really quick story. I had a travel advisor that I got to become really, really close to. He's a great guy. And I've had numerous conversations. Some of your best conversations happen right at the bar. And him and I would have a tequila and we'd talk about his life and talk about like his family. And he goes to me, "This is my last trip." I go, "Why?" He goes, "I can't do it anymore. I'm not." And he was only 54, I think, at the time. But there's a good landing to this story. He goes, "Dave, it takes me 2 days to recover from my trip. I'm tired." He was overweight a little bit. He goes, "It's just these trips just suck me dry. I have nothing left. I don't enjoy them anymore." And that broke my heart because this was a guy that was full of life in the travel industry for 25 years, right? So I gave him some things to think about and to do. What you're about to see here on this wellness planner, I went through this with him on a napkin. Okay. So this is how long this has been around. And we started to create some accountability and started creating some embrace your reality moments for him. It was about go for a walk with your wife for 10 minutes a day. That's it. Drink a little more water. So we started doing those things, right? But he, for so long, his self-awareness, he covered it. He covered it with work. He hid his pain. He hid his unhappiness. And finally it broke. So it took him, he did take a break from travel for about 1.5 years. He did. And he still worked, of course, but he went all in on his health. And guess what? 10 years later, he's in his late 60s. He's still in the travel industry. I see him at conferences. He went and did a European cruise and went all through Europe, didn't backpack like I told him he should have, but he walked a lot. But my point is connecting to your purpose and your why, as hard as it might be to rip the Band-Aid off of where you are, you have to do it because there is something greater for you on the other side. I promise.
Right. Yeah, I think that's perfectly well said. And I know everyone looking at this sheet is very interested in getting into it. David, I don't want to hold us up. I appreciate you taking the time to answer my questions, but I don't want to hold us up much longer. I was hoping you could take us a little bit through this sheet, tell us a little bit about what we're looking at here and why this is sort of helpful for the travel advisor community.
Yeah. So just a little context for this. I come from the health and medical background. My background is I'm a physical therapist and I'm a nutritionist. I have my master's degree in both. When I first started in the business, I was obsessed about that, just you eating well and you moving. That's what I cared about. This was now 18 years ago. I've been with ALG for over 17 years. And did I see results? I did at the beginning, but I didn't see the results as much as I thought I would. People struggled. People didn't get it. They would start the diet. They would fall off. They would start a workout plan. They would fall off. And as I started throughout my years and getting smarter and wiser, working with more people, I started to understand that there needed to be a foundational principle to those other pieces. For you to eat well, you needed to understand what inspired you. What do you value? Right? And so this really birthed out of me and my struggles with colleagues who were not connecting to what I wanted them to do. So if you're someone here on this call and you're like, yeah, I'm just not consistent, I'm not connecting, or you're someone who wants to elevate, this is perfect for you. Because the first question asks you, what's your vision for your health and well-being? Could be to lose weight. I want more energy. I want to sleep better. I want to not worry so much. And it can connect to travel. I want to travel. I want to run a 5K. For me, when I think about vision, it's deeper than a goal, right? What's your goal? What's your goal? It's easy to think about a goal, right? My goal is I want to lose 10 pounds. Okay, great. But what's your vision? What do you see? When you see yourself healthy and happy and full of robust well-being? Do you see somebody who's engaged with your family? Do you see somebody who's present? For me, value and vision to me is being present. I've struggled with that my entire life, being in the moment and not thinking about 13 different things. and not worrying about 13 different things. I have worked really hard on being present. So for me, my vision is to continuously staying present in my work and in the relationships in my life. And I'll tell you, when you think about it that way, and that's what I want you to think about when you see this question, you're going to get a copy of this. And when you're writing this out, I want you to ask yourself, what's your vision? Right? And then when you connect your vision to what inspires you, right? So when I think about what inspires me is these talks, traveling to conferences and doing talks, creating well-being programs, connecting into my community and my faith and my family. That inspires me. So the vision for my health is what's going to help me carry that inspiration, right? That's what's going to help me lift up that inspiration. I can't do that things that inspire me unless the vision for my health is there and intact. Okay. So I write down what inspires you, right? So then when you are struggling and you're being challenged, you can go back to say, okay, my faith inspires me. My community work, my volunteering inspires me. My work, creating beautiful memories for people to travel inspires me. Okay. Well, team, that doesn't just happen. You need to have a plan. You need to fill your cup. For me to be present in my kids' lives, to do what I'm doing here, that can't happen. That can only happen is if I'm taking care of my needs, if I'm taking care of my self-care. Period. Okay. So what do you value the most in life? Wow, that's a big question, right? And I, again, these are deep questions because they're pre-qualifying you. What they're doing is they're setting the foundational pillars for you to be successful. Most people are this close to getting it, and they stop because they don't connect it to something bigger than them, or they don't have a plan. Preparation and planning is the best way to control willpower. When we all get tired and we're overwhelmed and we get burnt out, what do? We quit ourselves. We stop taking care of us because it's easy. It's not a priority. It's not part of my values. So find and think about what you value the most in life. For me, is staying alive. And here's why. People in my life, people in my family don't live long. I'm the youngest of 9. Okay. Grew up with a single mother, God bless her. My family has heart issues. Okay. So in their 40s and 50s, I've had, people die. My brothers all have heart issues. My father died of a heart attack. My mother died of congestive heart failure. It's there. Self-awareness. I don't run from it. I don't do this. I get my checkups every year. I make sure I don't skip physicals. I make sure I take care of myself because I value my life and the people in it. Okay, so you can see where I'm going here, right? We're answering some tough questions. And the reason why is because the easy part is to give you the eating plan and the workout plan, all of those things. They're easy until you get punched in the face with life, right? And I don't want that to happen. So we got to set the stage here, the foundation. Now, what obstacles or challenges get in the way of your well-being? Work, schedule. Okay, you could give me about 10 of them, right? I'm sure all of you can. People not supportive in my life, right? I've had that before. I've talked to somebody who said my spouse, my partner, they're not supportive of me being healthy. And I'm like, really? So we had a deep conversation about maybe bring them along, right? Try to get them involved in your well-being journey, right? Work. How does work become an obstacle, right? We let it become an obstacle. We do the same thing over every single day. I get up at 7 in the morning. I log in at 7:11. Why can't you log in at 7:30? Why can't you take 15 or 20 minutes, right? So let's start thinking about what are those obstacles or challenges that get in the way of your well-being. I want you to write them down. I want you to think about them. I want you to write everything down. It could be your health. It could be like physically, I can't do anything. Okay, great. That's great self-awareness. That's a great start. I've had someone say to me, David, I can't get up from my chair without my knees killing me. I get up out of bed in the morning and I'm in pain. All right, I get it. Let's get some help. Let's get you to your doctor. Let's find a way to get you out of pain, right? Let's get some stretches. Listen, you're not doing anything for yourself by helping your pain by not moving. We need to get you to someone that can help you do that. So some of your obstacles or challenges might have a solution that maybe you're afraid of finding, because it is going to take some work. Remember I told you at the beginning, this is hard. This is hard. Okay. And then the other thing I want you to think about is list 1 or 2 things that you're going to start doing right after this talk. I'm holding you accountable. Coaches do that. Coaches who care hold you accountable. What are you going to start doing right after this talk? Maybe it's, I'm going to start drinking more water. I don't hydrate enough. Number one thing I'd want all of you to do is think about how water can impact your day, right? I'm drinking out of a plastic bottle. Don't judge me. I'm sorry. It is day today. I'm telling you, okay? So I've been in survival mode, and I normally would have a water bottle that I would refill. So I'm sorry for all my green friends out there. I don't do it often. But listen, if when you drink water, you're raising your metabolism, you're helping your immune system, you're giving yourself energy. So maybe it's just water. Maybe is it sleep? Can you go to bed 15 minutes early, get more sleep? Can you go for a walk? Can you, in your schedule, can you create some breaks for you, right? Whatever that might be, I want you to think about small. Embrace your reality. Be realistic. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to ask yourself the question, what has to happen when we're sitting here in November or December, whenever I come back again and talk to you guys, for you to be happy? So what's going to happen in the next 30, 60, 90 days? Well, Dave, for me to be happy in November, I need to lose 20 pounds. For me to be happy in November, I need to get better sleep. For me to be happy, I need to stress less. Okay, well, let's get to work. What are you going to do in the next 30, 60, 90 days? What's your plan? And I need you to be specific about it. Is it hire a trainer? Is it to get on a Headspace app and find ways to get more mindfulness? How do we stress less? Let me tell you a really great technique about stress. And I don't minimize stress at all, right? But when we think about stress, most of the stuff we're stressing about are things that we stressed about yesterday, last week, last month, and even last year. Pretty crazy, right? Pretty crazy. I'm gonna explain a exercise that a good friend of mine who's a psychotherapist took me through. And it is called the question exercise. 1, how do we stress less? Write down all your stresses on the left side of a piece of paper. Everything you're worried about and stressed about. Stressed about finances. I'm stressed about my job. I'm stressed about my relationships. Whatever it might be. And it could be as little or it can be as big. And in the middle column, you're going to write, is it true? So let's just say for me, I'm gonna bring my buddy Dan into this. So Daniel and I, we're friends. I'm going to write, I don't think Daniel likes me. Daniel and I, we're not communicating well. We're not connecting. I'm worried about it because he's my colleague. He's my boss. And I'm afraid. I'm nervous. I go to bed thinking about Daniel. I wake up thinking about Daniel. Sorry, Daniel. But in the middle, I say, yep, it's absolutely true. It's true. Daniel, I'm stressed out. I'm worried about our relationship. Well, guess what you got to do on the third column? You have to prove it. So guess what I have to do? I have to pick up the phone, call my buddy Daniel. Daniel, I got to talk to you. I feel like you and I are not connected, man. I feel like you and I, is there something I did? I know, are you mad at me? And guess what Daniel does? He goes like, Dave, man, you're my buddy. I love you. I'm actually, I'm really overwhelmed at work. I'm stressed out. I'm sorry I was short with you. Everything is awesome. You are great. Don't worry about me. Are you kidding me? Guess what I get to do? I get to cross Daniel off my list. That exercise is incredibly profound. I'm not even giving it the real value because I'm talking fast through it. But it is an exercise that psychotherapists use and therapists use in treating PTSD, ADHD, excessive worrying. They take people through that exercise. I do it almost every single night now. Some days I write 30 different things. Some days I write 2. But guess what has to happen? You're taking an inventory off of your head and you're putting it on paper. Some things are going to feel silly. Some things, guess what? You do prove. And you're like, man, I do have something I proved. Well, you just eliminated 10 things. So now you can go to work on the 2 or 3 that are real. So I guess my answer to the stress that came through, the stress question, is start taking inventory of your mind. I know it sounds silly, but I would love for everybody to meditate. I would love for everybody to do box breathing. Those are all great tools, but we have to have self-awareness to know this is all coming at me. I need to say no more, stop. And in order for that to happen, I'll tell you that exercise changed my life. It really did. I'm a worrywart. I worry a lot. I think about things. I overthink about things. I don't know if anyone else does that. And whenever your ability to write them down, it allows you to feel free and look at it from a different lens. So that's the way I talk about stress. Is I don't want it to fester. I don't want it to keep going. You got to put a stop to it early. Yes. Does meditation help? Absolutely. Does breathing and being in the moment help? Absolutely. But you have to get a hold of it a little bit earlier than that. Okay. So obstacles. Really important that you identify them, that you identify the things that are going to get in your way and be honest about it. Okay. Really be honest about it. And then, do the things I want you to write down the things you're going to start doing after this talk. Then I want you to start thinking about what can you do in the next 30, 60, 90 days. I want you to write down what your results that you would like to see. And I also want you to write down what are some actions that you can do. Now you might not have enough room, so feel free to write on the back because we're going to revisit this. We're going to check in. Why not? Okay. And then the other thing I want you to think about is what tools and what support and resources do you need to help you succeed? Listen, ALGV, right? I'm going to plug my family over there. You know, what you're doing here with these webinars and these resources of checking in with Daniel and the team, those are tools to help you succeed. You never stop learning. You never stop growing. You never stop needing resources to help you grow. Your well-being is the same. So what type of things do you need to help you? Do you need to join a gym? Do you need to join a community? Do you need to find some apps, right? I use Headspace because I love Headspace. It's a great sleeping app and mindfulness app. Is it reaching out to a friend to say, hey, let's meet for a walk after work? What is it? You know, think about that. And then lastly, because I don't know, Daniel, if you want to open this up to questions at some point, I want to leave time for that. So lastly, your core values. We talked about this, right? To me, values are like lighthouses. They are signals giving us direction, meaning, and purpose. So I want you to start thinking about 3 or 4 words. Someone had written in here, which I really loved. Let me come back to it. Health and family, right? So whoever wrote that, Doris, great job. I love that, Doris. Health and family are your 2 core values, right? Health and family, love that. Travel, right? friendship, educator, teacher, whatever that might be. What are those words that define your values? And here's the reason why I want you to write these down. Because they will connect you and keep you grounded. When you go back and you're like, Coach David wanted me to do something for 30 days and I haven't done nothing. Okay, ground back to those values again. So maybe then that will trigger you to get back started. Who cares what you didn't do? Let's care about what you're going to do. So it's a great exercise. I'm going to attach a value teaching guide to this too, that they'll send out that'll help you write your core values. We do this a lot at our company. We love our core values at our company, but more importantly, we also love personal core values because they keep you in the game. They keep you steady, right? They're your compass. Okay.
Yeah. If any, so I know we're running out of time. But again, like David mentioned, we're going to get this out to everybody. We'll get whatever the other things David mentioned as well. We'll get that out to everybody too. If anyone has a question, we do have a couple minutes at the end here, but the first thing I want to do is thank you, David, because I know you volunteered your time for us this weekend. I had written down so many notes on what you went through the last 40 minutes or so. So I really do appreciate it. I think it's going to help me personally. If anyone has any questions for David, please drop them in the chat. But David, any thoughts from you that you want to share? I know, looking at that sheet before, something that popped into my mind was, it seems pretty important to be realistic with your goals too, because I mean, you could say in 30 days, I want to make $1 billion, but it seems like you need to be self-aware enough to have realistic goals too.
Yeah, guys, and why I'm talking, if you don't mind, maybe as we're wrapping up here, everyone throw a couple words in the chat of what you feel like your values are, just so we can kind of get a feel of what everybody's thinking right now. We're in the travel business, right? And it's supposed to be fun. And I'll tell you, what has kept me in this business is the community, is the connections, it's the relationships. I've never met a industry, and I've worked in a couple big ones that value growth and connection and allyship like this industry does. And so, I would say as you're thinking about your health and your well-being, look at, whether you've been in the business for 30 years or one, right? There's so much meaning and value you're bringing to the market. There's so many, what you do each and every day is so incredible. And you have to do it with first being kind to yourself. At ALGV, we talk about kindness to others, but kindness to ourselves, right? You're being kind by doing the things that you do every day and the bookings you do and the way that you treat your customers. It's like nothing else. But take that same energy to be kind to you. Really is something that I know a lot of us don't think enough about. And I think it's really important. So I love some of these words in here. Authentic communication, appreciation. It's great. Service, hope, and love. Yeah, and I guess, I work in the science business, right? So everybody wants a practical approach to health and wellness. They want to say, okay, give me the facts on eating well. Give me the facts on exercise. Give me the facts on sleep. Yeah, we have all that. I'll be honest with you. You can Google it. You don't need me to tell you. And as much as I want to, give value with my, my college education, and it's fun and it's great, but I learned more from travel advisors, from my own fellow colleagues, that has helped me be where I'm at right now. Because I'll tell you, giving somebody a healthy eating plan is the easiest part of my job. Getting to know them and understanding the trials and tribulations, the issues, the challenges, the obstacles of why they can't be successful, that's hard. That's hard. And that's why I came up with that self-awareness. That's why I came up with, embrace your reality, your core values, because it's really important. It's really, really important. It really is. I'm almost finished with a 30-day yoga challenge. Joan, awesome. So that's another thing, right? That's a tool. You know, look at ways to connect. And I don't know, you know, Joan, I don't know if you did that through an app or you did it through one of your local studios, but those are those things. What are you interested in? I guarantee you can find a community out there that you can connect to, right? Yoga today. Okay, great. You know, I bet, you know, did you notice a difference after the 30 days of yoga? I bet she's going to do it for another 30 and probably another 30, but she did a bite-sized approach. She didn't do a 365-day yoga challenge. She did a 30, right? So that's a great way for her to say, this is my reality. This is what I'm going to do. So, you know, find those things. And I guarantee you, you know, the world of technology, as much as I love technology, as much as sometimes I hate technology, use technology as a tool for you to be successful. So one of the things that we do in our company is we really encourage standing up as much as you can throughout the day. So setting a timer on your phone, maybe for every 2 hours, I would like every hour personally, for just 2 minutes. For those 2 minutes, you just get up and you're doing some stretches, you know, you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this for a minute, and then you sit back down, right? So, I mean, that's all I'm asking here. Minimal stuff, low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, small steps, David. What I've written down today too, like today seemed to be a big one, seems to be accountability, which I know you stressed during this call to me earlier in the week. So
Yes.
accountability, we're going to get the sheet out too, so everyone wants to fill that. Like David mentioned, we're very much looking forward to having him back towards the end of the year too, so we can even do a further update and check in on everyone. But I just want to thank you once again, David. I know we're running out of time, so I just want to wrap up. Thank you to David once again. Really appreciate your time. Really appreciate everyone's honesty in the chat and everyone coming out today and lending us your time too. I want to thank Nick from ALGV one more time for jumping on the call. And I want to thank everyone for coming out. I say it every week, but thank you for coming out to these. It's so nice to see everyone, to hear from everyone. We really do appreciate it. We're looking forward to seeing you in a couple weeks. Until then, hope everyone stays healthy, stays honest, stays accountable, and takes what David had to say to heart.
Take care, everyone. Be well.